Today we are going to study selection sort. What is meant by sorting algorithm? Sorting algorithm is nothing but arranging the elements either in an ascending order or in a descending order. Now we have to arrange the number in ascending order with the help of selection sort. So since we have 5 elements here, 7, 3, 5, 1, 2, that is n is equal to 5. Selection starts like this. You have to consider initially the first element as a minimum. Which element is a minimum? That is 7 is considered to be minimum. You are considering 7 as minimum and rest of the elements you are writing as it is 3, 5, 1, 2. Now the minimum element is considered to be 7. It is compared with the rest of the element. Now let us compare. 7 is compared with 3. That is minimum position. A of minimum is how much here? 7. 7 is compared with 3. 3 is less than 7. So A of minimum element becomes now how much? 3. And this position, minimum position becomes this one, 1. Okay, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The minimum position becomes now 2. Now 3 is compared with 5. 3 is less than 5. The minimum remains 3 only. 3 is compared with 1. 1 is less than 3. So A of minimum becomes A1 is when 3 is compared with 1. So 1 is less than 3. So A of minimum becomes 1 and your minimum position becomes 4. Okay, now again this 1 is compared with 2, rest of the element. This minimum is 1 only. Now your minimum element is 1 and which is at the location 4. Okay, your minimum element is 1 and which is at the location 4. So now you have to swap 1 with the first element. That is, you have to swap 1 with the first element, that is 1 here and the fourth position 7 here. The position accurate, the position here 3, 4, 5. Okay, I have to swap. What I've did is the first step, I've taken the first element as minimum, that is 7, and 7 is compared with 3. 3 is less than 7, so minimum becomes 3. 3 is compared with 5. No, minimum is 3 only. 3 is compared with 1, where 1 is less than 3, so minimum element becomes 1. This 1 is compared with 2. Yes, there is no minimum because minimum element is 1 only. We have reached the end of the array and we have to swap this minimum element with the first element. That's what we did. 1 is swapped with the 7. Okay. Now 1 is in the right position. It is its proper minimum position. Now we have to consider second element as minimum. Which is the second element? 3. 3 as minimum. Now 3 is compared with 5. No, 5 is not less than 3. So minimum remains the same. Okay, minimum anyway of minimum is how much here? 3. Okay, 3. Okay, now 3 is compared with 7. Minimum remains the 7. 3 is compared with 2. When 3 is compared with 2, A of minimum becomes 2 because 2 is less than 3 and your minimum position becomes how much? 5. Minimum position is 5. Now what you have to do is you have to swap the element of minimum position. This is 2 with the second element. So 2 is swapped. 2 is here and the second element is over here. That is, second element is here and 2 is swapped with the second element. Rest of the element as it is. Okay, now we have to consider a third element as minimum. Which is the third element as a minimum? That is 5. Let me write the position over here. Okay, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now 5 is compared. Now third element is compared with the rest of the element. Third element is 5 is compared with the 7. So 5 is small. 5 is compared with 3. 3 is less than 5. So minimum element A of minimum becomes 3. A of minimum becomes 3 and the minimum position becomes how much? Minimum position is how much? Becomes 5. Minimum position is 5. Now you have to swap the minimum element with the third element. You have to swap 3 with 5. That is 3 here and 5 here. 1, 2. Rest of the element as it is. 7, 8. Now you compare. Now you have to take the fourth element as minimum. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 7. 7 as minimum. 7 is compared with your next element. That is 5. That is 7 and 5. The 5 is smaller than 7. So A of minimum becomes 5. And the minimum position becomes how much it is? That is also 5. So you have to swap this element. That is fourth element is swapped with the minimum element. That is you get 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. This is a final sorted order. Okay, I repeat what we have done here. First, we have for 5 elements, we have to consider the first element as minimum. This minimum element is the first element is compared with the rest of the element to find the minimum among the list. That is 3 is compared with 5, 7. 3 is smaller than 7, so 7 is minimum, 3 becomes minimum. 3 is compared with 5, no. 3 is compared with 1, 1 is smaller than 3, so 1 becomes minimum. Now 1 is compared with 2, no, 1 is minimum. So now we got the minimum element among the array is 1. 1 is swapped with the first element, that is 1 is swapped with the first element. So you can see 1 here and 7 here. Now we have to take the second element as a minimum. Second element is 3, 3 is compared with 5, 3 is compared with 7, 3 is compared with 2. When 3 is compared with 2, 2 is less than 3, so minimum becomes 2 and your minimum position becomes 5. The second element is swapped with the, second element is swapped with the minimum element, that is 2 comes here and the second element goes here. Next you have to take third element as a minimum. Third element is 5 here, 5 is compared with the rest of the element, 5 is compared with 7, 5 is compared with 3. When 5 is compared with 3, 3 is less than 5, so minimum becomes 3 and 3 is swapped with the third element, that is 3 is swapped with third element, that is 3 is here and 5 is here. Now fourth element is compared with fourth element compared with the rest of the element, that is fourth element is 7, 7 is compared with 5, minimum is 5 and the 5 is swapped with this element. Okay, here you can see that a minimum element every time swapped with the first element and second element, third element, fourth element and fifth element. I hope you understood the selection sort.